Welcome back everybody, hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to talk about aperture and is it really all that important as people make it out to be? Let's find out. When it comes to lenses, there are two defining factors, which are the focal length and the max aperture. And here on my A6300 I have the one and only Sigma 30mm f1.4. Of course there are other things to look at, such as sharpness, chromatic aberration and vignetting, for example, but those are much harder to define by a number, so you usually have to look at a review or some test to find out how they perform. Anyway, the aperture are the rounded blades in the lens, which you use to control how much light you want to let into the sensor, and at the same time how much you want to be in focus. Before we get into why you might need or might not need a lens with a big aperture, I'm just going to show you some sample footage and pictures, and I want you to guess the aperture in the different examples.
You a lot. 7 days of eternity, 7 days in another country. Every cell screams stay right here, and my legs they freeze as in fear.
Alright, so that's it for the sample footage. Were there any surprises or did you pretty much guess everyone? Let me know down in the comments. Anyway, like with everything, your lens is a tool, and like it's easy to dream about gear we don't have and feel like if I just had that lens or if I just had that camera, my work would be so much better. And I should know, like I bought a Sony FS5 and I just noticed that like it's an awesome camera, but it was not suited for my type of work at all. Like my A6300 is much better suited for me with better autofocus and just easier overall to handle. But I'm not going to sit here and say that a large aperture is overrated or anything, because it's awesome to have, but we shouldn't use it as a crutch. Like for example, there are some times where a large aperture can come in really handy, such as low light scenarios, which allows you to lower your ISO. Like if you're doing portraits or product photography, it can really help to just blow out that background and get all your focus on the subject of your photo. At the same time, it's easy to get tempted to just go wide open all the time. We should think about it creatively, like what are we trying to show with our pictures. Sometimes stopping down a bit on the aperture can actually make your picture look better. Also, a bonus is that it will make the image sharper and reduce vignetting, so that is something to think about. Alright, so when is it usable then to have a really large aperture? Like, besides if you're doing portrait or product photography and just want to blow out the background to get all your focus on your subject, take low light or slow motion, for example, where you need as much light as possible and you don't want to ruin the image with ISO. Those are two examples when a really large aperture can come in handy. I'm going to show you now two examples of where a large aperture can save the image from the graininess of a high ISO. As you saw in those scenarios, having that large aperture really allowed me to bring down the ISO as much as possible, producing a cleaner image. But as I was saying before, think about why you want to purchase something. Like, do you need 1.4, or could you just as well use an 1.8, for example? Like, with all this gear coming out almost every week, it's easy to get hyped and think about, oh, I need that and I want this. But it's important to like really meditate on why you want to purchase something. Like, is it something that you need, or do you just want a new toy? Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you learned something, and if you did, consider hitting that thumbs up. And if you want to support my channel, consider subscribing to don't miss out on more videos of this type. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.